Michael here, and in this video journal, the next part 4, I will be taking the fretted fingerboards that I made in the last video journal and gluing them to the neck blanks that I finished in video journal, the next part 3, and then carving out the necks. And this will complete the necks for the ambrosia maple builds that I've been working on. Keep watching. Well, with the fingerboard fretted, except for the first fret and the 10th fret, it's time to glue it to the neck. Before I get started on this, I want to go ahead and take just a little piece of pipe foam designed to insulate your pipes or whatever, and place it right up here on top of my peg head, because this is a finished product now and I don't want that to get messed up. Before I go ahead and position my fingerboard, I want to put some marks on there where my pins are going to come through, and I'm going to be pinning the fingerboard with some 0.036 by 35 needle springs so that it doesn't swim. So I'll go ahead and line things up, make sure I've got my nut spacing up here at the top, center line good, and just put a little spring clamp there, and then my center line down here. Okay, now I can take this over to my drill press where I have a number 63 drill bit chucked up and drill 4 holes through there. I have my neck blank with the fingerboard attached to it. Over here at the drill press, I'm going to go ahead and drill those 4 positioning pin holes. Now that I have my holes drilled in my fingerboard for my positioning pins, it's time to go ahead and glue the fingerboard to the neck blank. I'm going to take 2 of the positioning pins at first and put them through the holes here on opposite ends and push them through far enough so I can see them. And this first pin is going to be my alignment pin. I can see my hole right there. So line that one up, and then this one. And once I've got those 2 in there, I know I'm at the proper place. These should just fit right on in. Okay. Just a little tap to keep them in place. And yep, they're where they need to be. Now I can take my clamping caul, which is the same radius as my fingerboard, and also has a piece of shelf liner on it. You can see I've used it before, the fret indentations. And just place it on there. And start applying some clamps. Well, this fingerboard has been clamped overnight, so I'm going to go ahead and remove all these clamps. Alrighty then, now I can go over to the drill press and press in those last 2 frets. Okay, there we go. Now I'll just have to trim these two last frets down flush with the edges, and then we can start carving the neck. Now that I have my fretted fingerboard glued to the neck and I've installed my last two frets, number 1 and number 10, where I had my pins through there, before I trim the neck to the fingerboard width, I need to go ahead and smooth down those fret tangs as they stick out. I'm just going to take my file and file them down. Okay, now I can move on to the next step. And before I take this over to the bandsaw and trim the neck to the fingerboard width, I'm just going to take a little piece of veneer and tape it to the side of the fingerboard, just to give myself a little bit of safety in case my bandsaw blade wanders. Well, with the neck smooth now on both sides, with the neck blank level with the fingerboard all the way down, the next step I want to do is set the thickness of my neck. And I know I want to be about 21 millimeters here at the first fret, and down at the 9th fret about maybe 23 millimeters or so. So I'm just going to hog off a lot of this mahogany here on the bandsaw to save myself a lot of carving time. And to do that, I've got a little jig that I've made to hold the fingerboard in the neck. As I do that, a little piece of double stick tape on there, and I'll take this over to the bandsaw. Okay, I'm going to trim the neck to its thickness here on the bandsaw. Okay, back from the bandsaw, and I've got my neck cradled back into my carving jig here. And we are right at about 21.5 millimeters. We're spot on really right there. And about 23 down here, which is really good. Now I'm just going to start rounding over using a spoke shave. Well, I spent some time working on the profile of the neck, and while it's not complete by a long stretch, I need to go ahead and start working a little bit on my heel shape here. Okay, I spent a lot of time sanding with all kinds of little devices, and now I just want to get this profile on the edges here a little bit down, so I'm going to switch over and use a scraper. Okay, I've gotten some more taken off with the scraper, and now it's just time for some kind of final sculpting here. Well, I've got the neck clamped to the workbench, and I need to work on my volute up here a little bit and get the sides tapering up into the peg head real smooth and gradual. And this is something you can't really see real well, but you can sure feel it right through there. Now that both necks are carved and final sanded smooth, the last thing I've done on both of them was to go ahead and install a little, this one happens to be abalone shell leaf that's the same style leaf that I have on my fingerboard, on the heel cap. Now my final dimensions on the sapelli neck, I'm coming in right at 20.4 millimeters at the first fret. And at the 10th fret, about 22.5 millimeters. On the mahogany neck, I am coming in at 20.4 millimeters at the first fret, and right at 22 millimeters on the 10th fret. Next step is to go ahead and finish rounding and smoothing the fret ends on both of them and getting them ready to tape up for final finishing. Well, that concludes this video journal on the necks. They're all ready to be masked off so I can take them out to the spray room. If you enjoyed my content, please consider subscribing to the channel, and there's a link down below where you can support the channel by buying me a coffee. Thank y'all so much for watching.